Oh, what's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from IRL F1 2018 on the PS4 platform. Having some technical difficulties this morning, but we are getting set here for round 18, Monaco. And here at IRL, we are doing a Monaco night race. And Monaco has been... Monaco, I mean, it is what it is. Monaco is the greatest spectacle in F1. It's the one race that everybody wants to win, and it's no different in IRL. It's part of the fabled Triple Crown throughout motorsports, including the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and of course the Indianapolis 500. And it has not always been on the IRL calendar, so some Monaco news and notes. As we see, looks like Jay Fletcher starting his hot lap. But past winners have been back in season 2, it was Kiki Malikish. And back in season 3, it was Sondre Sorhaug, who is in the field today. It's one of Sondre's 2 career wins. So... that was back in season 3. There was no race here in season 1 or last year in season 4. We decided not to go that route. Previous pole sitters was Kiki Malikish back in season 2, and then Cameron Weston-Edwards had the pole back here in season 3, which is only giving the pole to win ratio 50%. So we continue to watch Jay Fletcher on his out lap. With that being said, oh, we've already got a collision here on qualifying. Looks like that was Jay Fletcher and is that Jorge Correa? Oh, and a third car is involved. That is Louis Quinlan is done with the session as well. So we've got a 3-car pileup. That's Jay Fletcher, Jorge Correa, and Louis Quinlan here in qualifying. So too bad for them as we see one of the Force Indias get out of the way. So too bad for them. That was unbelievable. So we're going to pick up Dave Begum in the factory Renault. See, looks like he's on an out lap. So, and as we were talking about Monaco, I mean, one of the big things to talk about is obviously the tight confines. You see a lot of these guys are banging the right side tires against the wall in some of these left-handed corners. See the back end kick out there. So the tight confines, the wide cars, there's not a lot of room for error. And we've already got 3 cars out in qualifying because of it. And as we were saying, the pole to win ratio is only 50%. We've only raced here twice. Oh, and look at another bang against the wall. This is Dave Begum as he smacks the wall and breaks the right front end plate off of the wing. And he's going to be done. We'll pick up Adrian Storm in the Force India. So some action going on here in the opening few minutes here of qualifying. We're going to talk about Sondre Sorhaug real quick. He's currently in the pits, but like I said earlier, this was one of his 2 career wins here was at Monaco. So if you're going to win a race, you might as well be this one. And that was back in season 3. Cameron Weston-Edwards had started the race from pole alongside Rob Sawyer, but they both crashed in Mirabou on lap 1, and they both retired. James Saunders inherited the lead at the time, but he retired at the tunnel on lap 8, and that handed the lead over to Gavin Parker. However, Parker picked up damage, and he had to pit on lap 21, handing the win over to Sorhaug in the closing laps. Parker recovered from having to make an early pit stop to P2, and Nick Kemp took his only career podium in 3rd. So that was season 3. That was a really exciting race. Cameron Weston-Edwards had finished on the podium here back in season 2. I mean, Kiki Malikish won the race. Cameron Weston-Edwards and Marco Toldini had taken away 3rd. And then obviously season 3 was Sondre Sorhaug, Gavin Parker, Nick Kemp. So pick up the qualifying. There's 12 minutes left to play in this qualifying session as we ride on board with Felix Negwer. He's currently 7th quickest in the Haas, and he bangs against the wall. He is in the Haas. No, he's not. He is in the Sauber. There we go. That was Adrian Storm has left the session. His car's in the pits. Not sure if he's having internet issues. Negwer on his out lap. So, run down the driver listing here. We've got Vile Himalayan, who has set the fastest time with a 108.869. Jack Hoyle with a 109.154. And we've got Luke Smith. Luke Smith is the only driver in the field that has won at least one race of the Triple Crown Series with IRL. So he has not won Monaco. IRL has not yet done an Indy 500. However, Luke Smith did win the 2.4 hours of Le Mans last year, the GT3 Series. Dave Begum is currently fourth. Tyler Rhodes, who had a great outing last time out, we'll talk about that in a little bit, currently fifth. Brandon Glover sixth. Alexander Bastos is seventh. Nexus Dynamic, again, I'm not 100% sure who that is. He is currently eighth. Felix Negwer is ninth. And then 10th through 18th have not yet set a time. That's Jay Fletcher, Adrian Storm, Darren Sinclair, and Lee Kelly. Who, real quickly, I want to apologize to Lee Kelly. I crashed into him yesterday. It ruined my race, hopefully not his. I was doing the F2 race. And Lee, I'm sorry about that. It was completely unintentional. Ruined my race. I hope it didn't ruin yours. Darren Sinclair, Lee Kelly, Jorge Correa, Louis Quinlan, both out. Sondre Sorhaug yet to leave the pits. James Hallworth and Jay Drawbridge. None have set a time, 10th through 18th. So the undercut here is obviously very crucial. Track position is very crucial as far as qualifying goes. As you see, Jack Hoyle is going to the top of the charts with a 107.927. So the undercut, I mean, tires lose their peak performance around here very quickly. Obviously, a lot of hard turns, off throttle, back on, full throttle. So pitting early and trying to switch over to possibly super softs or hyper softs is going to be the way to go. Three compounds today. Obviously, there's going to be the hypers, the ultras, and the supers in today's race. So pit strategy could vary. Hypers are going to last somewhere between 8 to 12 laps. Ultras are going to last you somewhere around 20 to 30, which is a pretty good long run. And super softs are going to run somewhere between 28 to 39, depending on throttle modulation. So those are your pit strategies for the day. Continue to see some of the drivers try and set some times. There's a lot of radio chatter going on in the background here about these guys that had wrecked. Jay Fletcher, Jorge Correa, unfortunately, and Louis Quinlan. So we're going to recap last week's race, round 17 at Australia, which was a very, very high attrition rate. We had a full grid, 20 drivers on grid. And of those 20 drivers, only 8 of them actually finished in Australia. Jack Hoyle had picked up his 5th pole position of the year. He ultimately crashed out, unfortunately. That gave the win to Vile Himalayan. That was his 2nd win of the year. And Jay Fletcher, that was his first podium. It was his F1 debut for IRL, so good for him. And Tyler Rhodes had an epic drive, hard fought for the 3rd spot. So good for him picking up 3rd. And then Brandon Glover came home 4th, Samuel Nazar was 5th, Thomas Scott was 6th, Felix Negwer was 7th, and Ken Aboud coming home 8th. Now, Jack Hoyle crashed out towards the end of the race. He had a really bad race. It was a bad start. I think he lost internet connection at one point. He had to fight back from the middle of the field, but ultimately crashed out with closing laps. Finishes 9th. That was his 2nd DNF of the year. Dave Begum making his IRL debut. He crashed out as well. Sondre Sorhaug came home 11th. Jay Drawbridge, unfortunately, who is really hit and miss. He either hits a home run or strikes out. Last week he struck out. It was his 6th DNF of the year. James Hallworth crashed out. That was his 3rd DNF. Lee Kelly picked up his 2nd DNF. Sabas Siktu finished 15th. That was his 1st DNF of the year. So he's gone almost all year with no DNFs. Joshua Dangle picks up his 2nd DNF. Jorge Correa, who has already crashed out of this qualifying session, and it looks like we've just lost Sondre Sorhaug as well. See him at the top of the hill. Jorge Correa picked up his 6th and league-leading DNF for IRL. David Wallbank, who we're going to talk about a little bit, tried to make his F1 comeback for IRL. He crashed out, unfortunately, on the opening lap. Alexander Bastos picks up his third DNF of the year. Louis Quinlan picks up what I believe is his 8th DNF, so he actually leads the league in DNFs as well. And then we've got 12 drivers now that have set a time. The only 2 drivers left running for qualifying would be Adrian Storm and Darren Sinclair. They're the only 2 that have not set a time. Jay Fletcher, Jorge Correa, Louis Quinlan, and Sondre Sorhaug have all crashed out here just in the qualifying session. 6 minutes left to play. Jack Hoyle is atop of the charts, 107.927. And it looks like Jay Fletcher has rejoined the session. He'll be able to race. Obviously, he'll be starting in the back of the grid. So we're going to talk about David Wallbank real quick. David Wallbank, who has a history in IRL. He's raced with us before. He tried to make an IRL comeback last week in Australia. Didn't work out. He had a DNF, unfortunately. And as of yesterday, there was a steward's vote 6-0, unfortunately, to remove David Wallbank again from the league for basically chat misconduct. David is very inappropriate in the IRL League chat on PSN. He's not very kind to some of the other drivers. And then again, this is the exact same reason why he was banned last year. And unfortunately, it only took a week this time for him to be banned again. So David Wallbank makes his 1 race comeback, DNF, and he's out of the league again. So we've got some people chiming in on the live chat already. Jorge Correa, Adrian Storm, those 2 have gone back and forth. Looks like we've got Luis Wassman joining us. And we've got Lewis Marshall, who wants to join us in the booth, and he is more than welcome to. The party should be open. It's not a private party, so Lewis, if you want to get on in here and co-commentate, by all means, join us. 4 minutes left to play, and Jay Drawbridge has gone 108.448 for second quickest. So the battle rages on between Jay Drawbridge and Jack Hoyle. You've also got Jared Fosbury joining in on the live chat as well. Felix Negwer with a good qualifying effort, 4th so far. Looks like he's out on the Hypersofts right now doing an out lap. Still waiting to see Adrian Storm set a time and Darren Sinclair as well. Both of those drivers have been pretty impressive. Adrian Storm's had a really good season so far. Was an F2 driver for Mercedes, I believe it was. He's contending in the F2 championship, and around goes Felix Negwer. Looks like he just caught that curve, and now he's going to have to Austin Powers himself out of the way. Gets back going straight. And we do now have Lewis Marshall joining us here in the booth as we watch Felix Negwer head back into the pits. Lewis, welcome to the race.
Thank you. I'm just joining now.
We pick up Alexander Bastos, currently 9th quickest with a 110.453. And interesting to see positions 6 through 11 so far are all running in the 110s. Meanwhile, 2nd through 4th, that is Drawbridge, Felix Negwer, are all running in the 108s. Tyler Rhodes is the first one in the 110s. Brandon Glover is the only driver in the 109s, and Jack Hoyle is the only driver to crack the 107 barrier with a 107.927. Good enough for pole position currently. We've got a lot of drivers out on their out lap. 2 minutes left to play in this session. And once this is over, we'll get a recap of yesterday's race, the F2 race from Lewis. Once this qualifying session ends, and I was a part of yesterday's race, not for very long, which seems par for the course.
I didn't see yesterday's race, unfortunately.
Well, I didn't stick around for much of it after I crashed, so...
I know Paco won, and Lee came second. That's all I know.
And it looks like Jay Drawbridge has just started another hot lap. 1:30 left to play in this session, so if he doesn't set a good enough time this time around, he should come across the line with enough time to run one more hot lap if he wants to.
That's a great lap by Jack Hoyle, a 7.9.
And it's
Half a
actually,
second quicker than Jay.
it's really impressive to see the time difference between the F1 drivers and the F2 drivers, because I think the pole time yesterday was in the 1:10 area, which is only good enough for mid-pack here. Oh, and Brandon Glover's retired from the session. Not sure where his car is, but that just came up. Oh, and he's right there in the middle of the chicane at the bottom of the hill, so that was going to ruin Jay Drawbridge's lap for sure.
Oh, that's unlucky for Jay.
So lucky for him, he should be able to come across the line with enough time to do at least one more lap. So hopefully he'll get one more chance, and he has actually dropped to third. Ville Hemelena has gone 1:08.169 to take second spot. And then you can see how bad 1:13.897 that lap was, trying to avoid Brandon Glover's car. So
Shout out to
Drawbridge is
Felix
going to
as
take
well.
one more
P4.
stab at it.
Felix is currently P4, and I know Felix is not great in qualifying, no, still his best in the race. So I think he'll be happy right now in P4.
Oh, and Jack Hoyle
That's easy.
improves his time, 1:07.760, 2/10 faster than his previous lap. And it looks like Jay Drawbridge is having a hard time trying to navigate this track. It's a very narrow circuit. Looks like he's bounced off the wall a couple of times. And Lee Kelly goes to fourth spot, 1:08.899.
Oh, wow.
Great qualifying effort for him. Ooh,
Oh, and Jay
Dave
bangs the
Deegan
wall quite hard
is
there.
out as well. Jay Drawbridge bangs the wall again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
and he
it was-
bangs
yeah.
the wall one more time.
How has he not lost his wheel?
So Drawbridge is going to come across the line,
Does it improve?
1:08.185, good enough for third.
Oh, it did improve.
And that is going to be that.
Sondre says in the chat, how many people do you think will finish today?
How many drivers do we have starting the race?
I think it's 18.
So I'm willing to bet half the field finishes. I mean, we saw last week at Australia, that was a race of a very high attrition, and that's Australia where, you know, you've got an actual track to race on. This is, the cars are so wide in comparison to years past that you can hardly make a move on track. And I know from the few laps that I ran yesterday, I mean, there was wrecks at the beginning of the race. I had to pit on lap one, and then coming out of the pits, there was three of us that were leaving the pits, and the two guys in front of me had crashed just coming out of the pits. So the cars are just so wide in comparison to the track itself. I mean, obviously the track is very old, and it was made many, many years ago when the cars were a third of the width that they are now. So there's just no room for error anymore. And you could see on Jay Drawbridge's qualifying lap how many times he banged the wall. I mean, you even made the comment of, you know,
how did he not lose his wheel?
And now we've got the great equalizer to make life just as difficult. So this is the pinnacle of racing. This is a night race in the rain at Monaco. Whoever wins this race is going to be king shit of Turd Mountain is what it's going to be. This is going to be an epic battle going into this. And if you can win this race in the wet, in the dark, that's going to be big bragging rights going forward.
Yeah, the game's put me into the Williams because I joined late, so I'll retire at the start of the race. Actually, I'll do this formation lap just for fun.
And we've actually, looks like we're going to have 19 drivers, since Lewis Marshall will retire to commentate. We've also got Aaron Collingwood in today, and I was under the impression Aaron had decided a couple weeks ago to not race anymore, which I thought was odd since he had such a good season going. So to recap the running order, Jack Hoyle picks up his 6th pole position of the year. He'll be starting out front. He'll be looking to capitalize on that. and to walk away with another win. Ville Himalayan will be looking to pick up his 3rd win if he can get by him. Jay Drawbridge has had a rash of wins and a rash of DNFs. He'll be starting 3rd. He'll be looking to try and close the points gap to Jack Hoyle. Lee Kelly will be starting in 4th. And Lee Kelly, who started on pole yesterday, had a good run. He'll be looking to try and get to the podium as well.
James was crashing the hairpin. And
Felix Negwer will be starting in 5th. He is last year's champion. He'll be trying to put some points on the board and see if maybe he can capitalize on some other drivers' misfortunes. Brandon Glover will be starting 6th. He's been pretty consistent all year. He'll be looking to add to his points total. Tyler Rhodes is coming off of his first career podium last week in Australia, where he came home 3rd. He'll be looking to try and do that again. Nexus Dynamic is in the Haas, and he'll be looking to put some points on the board as well. Alexander Bastos will be starting 9th. He'll be looking to put some points on the board. And Luke Smith will be looking to win this race as he tries to set his sights on possibly the Triple Crown. He's won the 2.4 hours of Le Mans IRL. He can walk away with a Monaco win. That'll be 2 out of 3. In IRL, there is talks of us doing an Indy 500 sometime during the summer, so he may have an opportunity this year to get that coveted Triple Crown. Dave Meaghan will be looking to put some points on the board as he had a DNF last week. James Hallworth will be doing the same. Jay Fletcher, who was crashed out in qualifying, he'll be looking to try and make up for that. You've got Adrian Storm, Darren Sinclair, Jorge Correa, Louis Quinlan, Sondre Sorhaug, rounding out the team back at 9. Here we go, 5 red lights. Lights are out. Time to run what you brung. And Jay Drawbridge gets a good start from 3rd, but he's on the inside. He's going to have to tuck back in. Ville Himalayan tries to get to the outside. Bangs off the wall. And now it's a drag race up the hill. Side by side, Himalayan and Jack Hoyle.
Well, this is not going to end well.
Oh, and Hoyle's into the wall. He bangs wheels with Himalayan again. They're still side by side. Jay Drawbridge is in the catbird seat. Tries to make a move. And he's on the inside now, and it's just so narrow down through here and into the slowest corner, not only on the circuit, but the slowest corner on the calendar, as these two are still rubbing side by side. And there's cars that virtually have to stop at the back of the field. And finally, they seem to get a little bit single file coming out of that hairpin. Louis Quinlan's going to get a stop and go penalty for a severe collision with Sondre Sorhaug.
And this is not out yet.
And the drivers are finally single file as they come out of the tunnel and down the hill.
Is Aaron Collingwood supposed to be racing? This is currently in P12, gone up 7 positions.
Well, and that was, that's what I said at the beginning of the start. We have 19 drivers since you joined in. They put you in the woods, now you're commentating, but 19 drivers essentially started the race. And I was under my impression Collingwood had quit a couple weeks ago, not wanting to race.
Yeah, I was talking to Aaron, I think it was earlier. He said he just doesn't like this game, and he'll be back for the new game in the summer. So, I'm not exactly sure why he's racing right now, but he's had a very good start, up 8 positions.
That is Aaron Collingwood. He started 19th, he is up to 12th.
Look at the leaders. Look at the huge train in the middle sector. Just great to see it.
Looks like 1st through 10th is essentially separated by like 2 seconds from 1st to 10th. Maybe a little bit more as they start to spread out just a little bit.
I think Lee Kelly will be very quick in his wet.
Oh no, and Jay Drawbridge is going around. And then he is going to drop through the field like a rock. Here comes all the cars.
Oh, wow.
And he has to let him go by before he can try spinning it around. Oh, and now he's going to Austin Powers, and he's going to hold up traffic. There's the Sauber. That's Jorge Correa. Oh, and he's backing into the wall. He's done doing the Austin Powers, and he has dropped all the way to 16th on the grid. He's got wing damage.
There should have been a safety car for that, surely.
So Drawbridge will have to go into recovery drive mode.
I believe he did that. Was it last week in Australia? Oh no, sorry, that was Jack Coyle. He got back up to third and crashed on the last lap, I believe.
So now the battle is going to become between Eli Himalayan and Jack Coyle. And there's a little bit of separation now from them and Lee Kelly, who's in the Haas, and Felix Negwer.
I feel like Lee Kelly could be very good in the wet because he uses assists, I believe. And I think that'll help him in the wet. So he'll be one to watch for this win, I think.
Well, even though he uses the assists, tire strategy is going to be almost thrown out the window because the wear on the wets is going to be pretty consistent whether you use the assists or not, unlike if you were on slick tires. So really, a lot of these guys, if they want to try and make a move, they're going to have to do it on track. The undercut is almost non-existent because of the rain now.
I'm just thinking, if you can do the no stop, like if you don't have to pit at all. If I know with wet tyres, you don't have to pit. So it'd be cool if somebody did that. But I think that'd be very hard to do. And Jay's just got a 10-second corner cutting penalty for some reason. And he's just got another 3 seconds penalty.
So Jay Drawbridge is already in 16th spot and made a pit stop. Possible speeding on pit road. Picked up another spot. Yep, he's got a 5-second stop and go penalty for speeding, and he is retired from the session. So Jay Drawbridge is going to call it a day. So his championship is unraveling, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks. Oh, you see Felix Negwer there below the chicane.
Closest battle, I believe it's Jay Fletcher and David. I'm not sure what his name is.
That is Dave Meagum.
Okay. Oh, it looks like Jay just cut the corner then. I'm not sure though.
And it looks like Jack Coyle is actually gapped now, Eli Himalayan, and Lee Kelly is starting to close in the gap for the second spot.
Sorry, boss, I did turn on, there's Jay Fletcher. Oh, I thought Aaron's going to make it 3 wide then. Oh, there's contact.
Oh, and we've got 3 cars here battling for position, and that's Collingwood, the Ferrari.
Oh, Aaron's got
Jay
some
Fletcher,
serious
he's gapping a little bit. Here comes Collingwood, and Meagham's going to fall back to 11th.
Oh, there's Brandon Glover.
Meanwhile, we've got Brandon Glover side by side with Luke Smith.
Oh, I've got a great camera view for this. You can see Luke Smith's front wing. That's a really bad description.
And good drive so far for Tyler Rhodes. He's worked his way into 5th. He's coming off of his first career podium in IRL last week in Australia. He had a great drive to 3rd. And he fought hard for that 3rd spot with Jack Coyle for a lot of that race. Coyle unfortunately crashed out. And Luke Smith picks up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting.
Oh, Luke. Looks like Luke just smashed into the wall then. Luke just needs to be patient. Because I think he's getting frustrated behind these cars. But you just can't overtake on this track.
I mean, Monaco's always been a tough track, but I mean, as we talked about earlier, with the width of these cars, the speeds that they run, it's so hard to make a pass. You almost just have to keep pace with the guy in front and hope that he's the one that makes a mistake and you don't get caught up in it to try and get that position.
I have to go for a second, so I'll be back in a minute.
So we continue to watch. This is Tyler Rhodes, Brandon Glover, and Luke Smith. This is 5th, 6th, and 7th. 3-car train, and you see Nexus Dynamic is starting to creep into the picture, and he's got Jay Fletcher behind him. Meanwhile, things are starting to get spread out at the front. Jack Hoyle has almost a second gap over Vile Himalayan, who's got a 1.1 second gap over Lee Kelly. Then you're back to Felix Negwer, and then you've got the 3-4 car battle of Tyler Rhodes, Brandon Glover, and Luke Smith. Oh, and Collingwood tries to make a move to the outside. Oh, and he bangs the left rear wheel against the wall. Jay Fletcher tries to get to the inside. He's not close enough. Meanwhile, Luke Smith is... Oh, there's contact at the back. Oh, no. Nexus Dynamic into the wall. Bounces off of Aaron Collingwood. Meanwhile, Luke Smith is all over the back of Brandon Glover as they head down the hill. Glover takes the inside line. Smith's going to try and muscle his way through. He's not going to be close enough. Ugh. Nose to tail. 3-4 cars now. 5 cars now. One, two, 3 cars, 4 cars, 4-car battle now for the 6th spot. Meanwhile, we jump back to the front. Oh no, Aaron Collingwood has crashed out. Where is he?
I am back. Sorry about
that. Looks like
that.
Collingwood crashed coming out of the tunnel. So Aaron Collingwood's day is done.
Oh shit.
And we pick up, oh look at this, this is Brandon Glover as he cuts the chicane. He's got Luke Smith on the inside of him in their ass cast. And we've got a safety car, and looks like Brandon Glover dives into the pits under the safety car.
Oh wow, a safety car. I just got a 5-second stop go. Good one, Bran.
So the safety car is out. We've got drivers diving into the pits. Now, we've only run 8 laps, obviously on the wets. As a driver, I mean, is it beneficial with this much rain on the wet tires to pit right now?
No. If I would stay out right now, because track position is everything on this track. So I don't understand why people are pitting, in my opinion. But I think the people who are pitting, I think they can easily take the tyres to the end.
So safety car is out. Jack Hoyle is your leader. He's followed by Vile Himalayan and Lee Kelly. Felix Negwer is in 4th. Tyler Rhodes, we were watching his battle with Luke Smith and Jay Fletcher. Brandon Glover dived into the pits from 6th, comes out in 8th. Jorge Correa is currently running 9th. Nexus Dynamic is 10th. Dave Meekdom is running in 11th. James Hallworth is 12th. Your Season 3 winner is Sondre Sorhaug, who's running in 13th. Alexander Bastos is 14th. And Louis Quinlan rounds out the 15 drivers left remaining in 15th position. And there you see the safety car is waiting on the leaders to come around. Felix Negwer dives into the pit, and so does Jack Hoyle.
Yeah, Jack Hoyle had to change his front wing. So
5-second stop-and-go penalty for Tyler Rhodes for ignoring the yellow flags. 5-second stop-and-go penalty from Lee Kelly. Severe collision with Vile Himalayan.
Oh.
So we've got a lot of time penalties. And I gotta say, the safety car is out, and these guys are driving awfully hard under safety car conditions.
Yeah, I think there's many penalties just because Monaco's pit lane is quite awkward, and just it's raining, and you have to not crash into the cars ahead or behind. So I understand some penalties.
So we're still waiting for the field to catch up to the safety car and get regrouped behind it. And it's going to be interesting to see all the time penalties, once they're assessed at the end of the race, how that's going to change the outcome in the standings. Jack Hoyle now down to 5th. He's got a substantial lead in the championship point standings, and his closest rival was Jay Drawbridge. He is a DNF again. That's really going to hand second spot over, I think, to Vile Himalayan in the points, if Vile gets a good finish today.
And Lee Kelly's pitting again. Didn't he just get 5 seconds stop go for speeding?
He did. He may be serving that penalty as opposed to having it assessed at the end of the race. And it looks like they are holding him, and he is away. So yeah, it looks like he served his penalty.
That's interesting.
And that's going to move Luke Smith into second place after all this has
wow.
transpired. And it looks like they are finally behind the safety car. So the cars are finally have caught up, and they're going to regroup behind the safety car. So Luke Smith, again, the only driver in IRL right now who's got a legitimate shot at the Triple Crown. He won last year's 2.4 hours of Le Mans, the GT3 category. And we've got Sondre Sorhaug joining us in on the live chat. He's asking, Jorge still driving? Yes, Jorge is still in the race. We certainly wish Jorge the best of luck. He did crash in qualifying, so you did miss that. He did crash in qualifying, but he has not had a DNF yet. So we're lap 10 of 39.
P7 for Jorge. I think he's probably really happy with that.
Well, you know, it's interesting to me to see a lot of the drivers that were relatively good mid-pack drivers last year. Louis Quinlan, Sondre Sorhaug, Jorge Correa, F1 2017. They were good mid-pack drivers. You know, Quinlan had a podium, so did Jorge Correa. But this year it seems like Sondre's been off the pace most of the season. Jorge and Louis have both had a rash of DNFs. It just seems like the cars changed in reality a little bit from 18 to 17, but game-wise, it's almost like the driving dynamics have completely thrown a lot of these guys for a loop. Now, you're a driver. In comparison to 17, how harder or more difficult is it to drive the 18 car versus the 17 car?
Well, it is obviously harder with, like, they've changed the tyres for this game. I forgot what it's called, but obviously you have to look at the tyre temps. Then I think it's a complete new handling model for this game, and obviously the curbs are a killer on this game. So I think some people learn quicker than others, and some people still haven't learned how to maximise their pace compared to like Jack Coyle but I've got who's quick, Jay as well.
And Jack Coyle and Jay Drawbridge has really been the talk of the year all season. Those two battling it out. Unfortunately, Drawbridge has gotten a lot more DNFs than Hoyle. Hoyle's been very consistent throughout the whole year, at least finishing, pretty much finishing with wins, but he's also had some podium finishes as well. A couple of DNFs, but Jay Drawbridge has really been a hit and miss. He either hits a home run and wins the race, or he strikes out with a DNF. Is really the best way to put it. There's no in between with Jay Drawbridge.
Yeah.
Some of that has been luck. Some of that I think has a lot to do with I mean, he's very quick. He's also a pad driver, and it looks like the safety car is finally in. So we're going to pick up Luke Smith here and see if he can get around Vile Himalayan, as these two have pulled out over top of Jay Fletcher, who's got Jack Hoyle all over the back of him. The run up the hill.
Oh, looks like there was a bit of contact there between.
Looks like Jorge Correa lost the spot due to that.
What's the contact? I don't know. I think my eyes are just tripping. But we've got Jay Fletcher, Jack Coyle, and Felix. I think, yeah, Felix, and Brandon Glover, and everybody else behind.
These guys are running nose to tail at this point. Run through the tunnel. Luke Smith. I'm sorry, that was Jack Hoyle. Looked like he was close to making a move on the Williams of Jay Fletcher. 3-second time penalty for Brandon Glover. Caution in sector 3. Dave Meagum. Looks like he lost the position, and there's a 3-second time penalty for Jack Hoyle.
I think Luke Smith has damage. Yes. Luke Smith is pitting.
And Luke Smith dives into the pit, so that's unfortunate for him.
I'm not sure what he did, but I've just seen a bit of carbon fiber onto the floor.
And a 3-second stop-and-go penalty, or 3-second time penalty, I should say, for Felix Negwer. So Vile Hemlane's been able to pull out a almost 4-second gap over Jay Fletcher and Jack Hoyle. And this is where you can see how difficult it is for somebody to make a move. Jay Fletcher, though he has proven to be a quick driver, you can physically see he's holding up Jack Hoyle at this point, and you get a train of cars starting to build up behind him. And he's lost, obviously, some pace in comparison to Vile Hemlane. It's so hard to make a pass here.
I think Jack Hoyle just needs to wait for Jay Fletcher to make a mistake. If he keeps the pressure on him, then surely he has to make a mistake sooner rather than later. Because it is just that hard to overtake him on this track. As you can see,
Hoyle is just all over the back of him.
Yeah.
And 3-second time penalty for Sondre Sorhaug. And he loses a spot to Luke Smith. Vile Hemlane just ran the fastest lap at a 1:25. 1:97. Hoyle to the inside, bangs wheels with Fletcher. Oh, and look at this. Negwer tries to go around the outside, loses the back end of it.
That flag sector 3.
Oh, and that's one of the Haas. That's Lee Kelly. Looked like brushed the wall.
I think Luke Smith's got damage again to his front wing.
And Luke Smith moves into 11th spot. We've got Nexus Dynamic and Sondre dive into the pits. And it's funny, you see all that transpire in turn 1. It's like as soon as the door opened up, it's like the drivers all smelled blood and tried making that pass running up the hill. Got real close. There was a lot of contact. Lee Kelly brushed the wall.
It was an opportunistic move from Felix to get past Jay Fletcher, but I think he just lost the back end, he said, and he's just tapped the wall again, so Felix is struggling right now.
Going to pick up Lee Kelly. He's trying to close the gap down to Brandon Glover. Brandon Glover's trying to close the gap down to Felix Negwer. In 4th, 5th, and 6th. Once again, closest battle on track, and looks like Fletcher's going to dive into the pit, so that's going to put Felix Negwer in a podium position. Looks like Lee Kelly just brushed the wall again. Quinlan picks up a 3-second time penalty.
And James Sands is now gone. I'm not sure if that was right.
Nexus Dynamic. See if we can pick up where his car. Oh, and
Luke Smith.
Luke Smith is gone. What has happened to Luke Smith? Pick up Alexander Bastos, looking to see if we can see possibly where Luke Smith's car had gone off.
Was it the last corner?
It must have been at that last corner. He must have banged the wheels against the wall. So Luke Smith is done for the day. We head back to Lee Kelly, currently running in 5th, trying to find a way around Brandon Glover.
I think Brandon Glover's packed up to Felix as well. They could have a 3-way fight from podium.
So the gap at the front, Vile Hemlane is 5 seconds clear of
Jay Fletcher.
Jay Fletcher, retired from the session.
And he got...
I'm going to assume he blew the chicane here at the bottom of the hill. Oh, you can see his car off into the side there as we pick up Jorge Correa, and that is done. So cars are starting to drop like flies. Pick up Jack Hoyle. Jack Hoyle is 5 seconds behind Delay Himalayan, and then you have 4.5 seconds behind that. You pick up Felix Negwer in this battle for third as he's got Brandon Glover in hot pursuit of him, followed closely by Lee Kelly running in fifth. And Jared Fosbury is chiming in on the live chat. He says Kelly is faster than both Glover and Negwer, and if that's the case, he's having a hard time trying to find a way around the two.
I think it'd be redemption for Lee Kelly to get podium here today. Because yesterday, I know a couple of people think he was robbed off the win because of the silly penalty. So if he gets a podium here in F1, I think he'll be really happy with that.
I hope the penalty had nothing to do with me, because I actually crashed into Lee Kelly yesterday. Ruined my race. I hope it didn't ruin his.
I don't think it was you. I remember Jared and I was talking about it last night. As you can see, Lee Kelly,
he's going to try and make a move to the outside.
That's not going to work, Lee.
Can he get a crossover coming out?
Oh, Brandon's had a really awful exit. But there's just no space for Lee Kelly to get past. And it looks like Felix is actually pulling away on these two again. So it looks like Felix has found his rhythm on the track.
Well, that'd be a great result for Felix. We're just now getting around the halfway mark of this race. And we have lost...
Oh, and Lee Kelly.
Well, Lee Kelly 3-second time penalty. I didn't see where that was. He cut that curve a little too close.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Torontos, they're having an awful time at Monaco tonight. Both of them not in the points, and over a minute behind the other guys.
And Jay Fletcher officially leaves the session.
Look how close Lee Kelly is to that Mercedes LeBrun.
Such a hard track. There's no room here to try and make a pass. I mean, there's no straightaway. There's really no braking zone. I mean, it's a very rhythmic track. And Nexus Dynamic officially leaves the session as well.
Yeah,
and Louis Quinlan just crashed out. So that moves Sondre Sorhaug into 11th. Continue to watch this battle for 4th. And right now, this is your closest battle on track.
Oh, he lost it after the bridge, did Louis Quinlan. Looks like he just went and throttled too hard and just dropped it.
It's the same spot where Jay Fletcher had crashed at the bottom of the hill. While this is all transpired, Jack Hoyle has closed the gap to Delay Himalayan. It's down to 3.5 seconds. He just ran the fastest lap of the race.
And it looks like Brandon Glover and Lee Kelly are both captain Felix again. I think they are. It looks like it. But I'm on board with Lee Kelly, and he's just...
Oh, and Lee Kelly just brushes the wall, just give it a little kiss with the right side tires. You do that too many times here, though, it's going to cost you. And I'm gonna give some props to Lee Kelly here. He's been following Brandon Glover really closely for a handful of laps now. No contact between the two. He hasn't missed a braking zone. I don't want to jinx him, but really good driving on Lee Kelly's part to stay with Brandon Glover and not make contact with him at the same time.
Yeah, and also...
Oh, and he brushes the wall again!
You almost jinxed it. But yeah, to continue to what you were saying, he's only 10, and his frustration levels seem to be very low right now. I guess it's really frustrating to be behind a slower car.
I mean, in my opinion, he's doing the right thing. I mean, we talked about it earlier. I mean, to just keep pace with the other driver in these situations, you really just got to hope that Glover's going to be the one to make a mistake and not you, and you can capitalize on that.
Yeah. Like, Brandon must feel a ton of pressure right now. He's got that Haas just looking behind, waiting for...
The back end kicks out on Kelly's car.
I think Brandon and Luke are both catching Felix. I think it's like 3 seconds between them, now it's only like 2.5. So it looks like Felix is starting to struggle on his tyres as Sondre...
Oh, we've got a car on the side. Sondre Sorhaug getting out of the way.
Yeah.
And Glover is closing the gap down to Negwer. Negwer's lost a lot of time to Jack Hoyle. Now, Jack Hoyle closed the gap down to Vila Hemmerland to about 3.5 seconds, and it had stayed there for a handful of laps. However, Felix was down to a 7-second gap back to third, but he's now 8.5 plus seconds behind Jack Hoyle. And these guys have really started closing the gap now. So Glover
I think it's only
Kelly are coming.
Has Felix got damage? I don't think he has.
Take a look at Felix's car.
It doesn't look like he's got damage.
I don't see any wing damage, but he's lost a big chunk of time to Jack Hoyle. And now the gap is now down to 2.5 seconds. I mean, Glover and Kelly can see Felix Negwer at this point.
As James in the Ferrari pitted for New South Wales, take him to the end, I guess. Yeah, the fact Sondre...
Oh, Sondre's retired from the session. That's disappointing for Sondre. Previous winner here. No Cinderella story today, though, unfortunately for him.
I guess Sondre just couldn't get into the rhythm of Monaco in the wet. And I know Sondre hates the wet on every track. So I think he's not really surprised that he's out.
Sondre, obviously the league president right now, a crowd favorite, good guy. But he's struggled mightily this year. He has run a handful of races where he's picked up the fastest lap in a last-ditch effort to try and put something on the board, but hasn't been able to put the points there. He does have a podium this year, which was great for him a couple rounds ago. It was real nice to see him back on the podium, but for the most part, he's had an abysmal year and just hasn't been able to get it together. And we talked about it earlier. You know, some of the other drivers just not able, to get a grasp of the 2018 cars, it seems like. You see Jack Hoyle get a 3-second time penalty. Now, I have to say, Hoyle has cut the lead down to about 2.6 seconds to Vila Hemmerland.
Oh, wow, yeah.
But I know for a fact Jack Hoyle has at least 2 time penalties, and I don't think Vila has picked up 1. So even if Hoyle catches him, it's not going to matter if the race ended now.
Yeah, I believe Jack has got more penalties. So Jack is on and Jack bangs the wall there after turn 1. So Jack's under pressure to catch technique and pull away for at least 3 seconds to get the spin.
Well, catching him is going to be one thing. Getting around him is another, as we've been watching Lee Kelly trying to find a way around Brandon Glover for almost half this race now. And these two are now starting to get within striking distance of Felix Negwer. That is now down to under 2 seconds. There's a little bit of separation now between Brandon Glover and Lee Kelly.
Be interested to see what the other guys' penalties are, like Felix, Bran, and Lee. Because I think Lee's got at least 1 or 2. I think Bran's got 1. I'm not sure about Felix.
Well, Brandon Glover is about to catch Felix Negwer.
Looks like Lee Kelly started struggling.
It is now going to be a 3-way battle for the 3rd spot. And I think Negwer is probably in the worst position. It looks like he's the one struggling the most out of these 3 cars. And while all this is happening,
Jack Hoyle, 1.5 seconds.
And we've got a 5-second stop and go penalty for Tyler Rhodes for corner cutting. Tyler currently running in 6th. And we've got a caution sector 2.
It's
Tyler Rhodes. He's done. He is.
Where was that?
We pick up Dave Meagum, who's going to be the next driver to pass wherever he might be. Looks like he's in the area. I see the caution signs flashing yellow. I don't see his car anywhere. It must have been at the bottom of the hill coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So another DNF.
A lot of drivers struggling for that corner. I'm guessing it's just slowing the car down in time and just losing the back end. Oh wow, and I've just been told from Cameron, if Jack stays in P2 and beats Felix, Jack's champion today.
Wow.
So
Felix Negwer really now has to, I mean, he's struggling, he really has to
get his foot down, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's a 14-second gap, 14.5 seconds between Jack Hoyle and Felix Negwer. And Negwer is obviously struggling. And Jack Hoyle now is under a second to Ville Himalayan.
Yeah, I think Felix just has to pray for a miracle that Jack retires, or, well, yeah, just retire. And Cameron's also said it'd been the first time in this league that the champions count before the last race of the season. So
first time in IRL history.
That just shows how dominant Jack Hoyle's been this season.
But the question does lie, and even if Felix doesn't beat him on the track, time penalties could still be an issue. So it's hard to say. It's hard for me to keep track of how many drivers get how many penalties. I know Jack Hoyle's got at least 2. We talked about that earlier. I think Felix might have 1, which isn't going to make up a huge gap, but there's still more than 10 laps to go in this race. There could be more penalties assessed. So even if he beats him on the track, he may not beat him in the official results. Jack Hoyle has now caught Ville Himalayan. They are nose to tail. And Dave Meagum has jumped into the pits.
Yeah, for intermediate tyres, which is really interesting. From my point of view, it looks too wet for the inters right now.
Meagum switching over to intermediates. That'll be interesting to see if anybody else tries that. I kind of agree with you, Lewis. It doesn't look like the rain has let up at all. The racing line isn't any more dry than it was at the beginning of this race. Intermediates is, I think, a very risky goal. And now it looks like Ville Himalayan is going to catch up to some lap traffic. And it looks like that actually is Dave Meagum, who just came out of the pits, and he is trying to get around Alexander Bastos. So that is a fight for position. So a battle for position in front of the leaders, and Meagum very kindly gets out of the way, and so does Alexander Bastos.
Yeah.
So very good move by both of those drivers, and they will actually be able to continue their battle So good move, good courtesy driving by those two guys.
And we still got a battle for the podium of Felix, Brand, and Lee Kelly.
Oh, and Brandon Glover now is all over the back of Felix Negwer. And Negwer now.
Keep an eye. Oh.
Dave Bingham is making the pass on Alexander Bastos. Bastos dives into the pits. We see if Bastos does the same thing Bingham did. Nope, looks like Bastos is switching over to another set of full wets and getting a wing change. So Bingham's going to be the only driver out on the intermediates. See if that pays off. Looks like Brandon Glover now has lost touch with Felix Negwer. And so is Jack Hoyle. Jack Hoyle's lost the touch with Eli Hamlin. Both of those gaps are now over a second. However, Lee Kelly is still trying to find a way around the backside of Brandon Glover. And I'm going to tell you, after today's race, I feel like Lee Kelly is going to have the backside of a Mercedes embedded into his brain for a week, trying to find a way around Brandon Glover. And now
Brandon Glover's going to have nightmares of a Haas.
Looks like Glover has now caught back up to Felix Negwer.
And I think Jack Hoyle's really struggling in his Red Bull. So like you said, it was less than a second, and now it's 1.6. So Jack got damaged.
Oh no! And Lee Kelly smashes into the wall. He's broken the front wing.
No.
Looks like the transition from dry track to wet track called out Lee Kelly at the end of the tunnel. Got a tank slapper, put it into the wall. So Lee Kelly is going to have to pit for tires. Well, he doesn't have to pit for tires, but he's going to get tires in the wing. Got a caution in sector 3. Jack Hoyle.
The good thing for Lee Kelly is he won't lose any positions, because James is just too far.
Yeah, James Hallworth is almost a lap behind Lee Kelly. Lee Kelly's pitting for 5th. So we're going to continue to watch the battle between Jack Hoyle and Delay Himalayan.
Yeah. Jack's caught technique very quickly.
Now Tyler Rhodes has posted something kind of interesting on the live chat. I want to get your opinion on it because you are a driver. But Tyler says that there's nothing more annoying than driving at your best and losing a second a lap because the cars ahead are using assists. Obviously, he's referring to the traction control in the wet conditions. What's your take on that?
Yeah.
I mean, do you drive with the assist or without the assist? Is there really a huge advantage?
I'm actually learning no assists now, learning no ABS. And I see why Kyle is frustrated with other drivers using traction and auto gears, but that's just life. You just got to move on with it and try and improve. So,
I mean, I know some drivers are wheel drivers, some drivers are pad drivers, some use Alder, some use manual. But I mean, like in my position, and I don't have a whole lot of room to talk because I'm pretty terrible at this game, but I use manual gears. I don't use the driving line, but I do use traction control because of X is my go button and square is my brake button. There is no throttle modulation in that setup. I can't be easy on the throttle. It's either all or nothing. So I have to have some sort of traction control in order to get the car around the track. Unlike guys who use a wheel who are able to ease on to the throttle. So I mean, it's got its advantages and disadvantages, but I'm kind of in agreement with you. I mean, you got to learn to deal with it and move on. I mean, he put up a great battle last week in the dry, and obviously no traction control in the dry is a huge advantage over drivers that use traction control. So it's kind of a toss-up. It's a flip-flop one way or the other. And there's way more dry races than there is wet races. So complaining about one wet race.
No traction is known to be quicker in the dry, but medium traction is quicker in the wet. So it's just down to luck. If you use no traction, then you'll be quicker most of the time because it's mostly dry, like you said. But I feel like, but I know Lee Kelly's learning to turn assists off. So, yeah, hopefully Lee will be quicker in the future with that.
And Sondre Sorhaug has pointed out that Dave Meekdom is on the intermediates. He has caught Jorge Correa.
He has.
And in fact, Jorge Correa has caught James Haltworth. So there's a three-way battle starting to materialize for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Well spotted, Sondre.
Meanwhile, Brandon Glover is trying to find a way around Felix Negwer. And Jack Hoyle is still trying to find a way around Vile Hamalayan in first. 9 laps to go in this Monaco night race. Which I want to say the night race is a nice touch to this game, and I'm kind of glad IRL ran a night race. Just to try and make things a little different than, you know, what most other leagues are doing.
Yeah, I believe it was actually Sondre's idea before the race, saying, should we run night race? And instantly I was just like, yes, please, because the game looks fantastic at night on this track. Then
Hoyle is actually the closest he's been to Vile Himalayan in a number of laps now, 0.3 of a second, basically a car length in between the two.
They've still got Brandon Glover right behind Felix. Oh, and Brandon's actually lost the rear out of turn 1. So all that good work.
Around there, pick up Dave Meekham. Meekham is still trying to find a way around Korea.
I think Jorge is still happy to be racing right now.
Well, we certainly don't want to jinx him. Jorge's a crowd favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really cool guy. He's run some very interesting pitch strategies in years past that have really benefited him. But again, he's just another one of those drivers that has really struggled with the F1 2018 game versus last year. James Haltworth into the wall.
Yeah, he just lost a bit of his front wing, and it just undettered the car, and you have to cut that chicane.
He is missing the right front end plate. And now he's going to hold these two drivers up.
He's just got another penalty.
I think he's trying to get to the pits and stay. He gets out of the way of those two drivers. That was a good move by Haltworth. He knows he was slower than those two. He knows he's struggling for the front end grip. He's going to dive into the pits. Or not. He does not dive into the pits. He stays out. Interesting.
But to point out, them inters are quicker than 4 wets right now.
I don't think there's enough laps left for somebody to try and pull that card. I mean, the intermediates, obviously the intermediates are faster at this point, but Meekdom had not been able to find a way around Jorge Correa, so it's almost been null and void. Meanwhile, Jack Hoyle is still behind Vile Himalayan, and these two guys, Vile Himalayan is the only driver who's actually he's the only driver running to not make a stop. Here goes Jack Hoyle down to the inside, bottom of the hill. They make contact, and Jack Hoyle with a power move.
That was a desperate move from Jack Hoyle. I think he knows there's more penalties. So.
And I was just talking about it because Sondre had brought it up that Vile Himalayan is the only driver that didn't pit. He was on 31 lap old wets. Hoyle did make a pit stop. He's a few laps into the race. And now it looks like Vile is going to head to the pits. Unbelievable.
Is he going for inters? No, he's sitting 4 wets. Why is he pitted? I think he's about to get a puncture, maybe.
That very well may be on a 31 old lap tire, so that's a good point too. Here comes Vile Himalayan. Felix and Negwer are going to be coming around.
Felix is ahead.
Negwer and Glover into 2nd and 3rd. This is good news for Felix Negwer. He's not. Hoyle can still lock away the championship.
I think Jack's going to win.
And Cameron is bringing up the fact that those tires would not have lasted. So, Vile Himalayan, I think you're probably ready. Might have been starting to get a puncture. And now you've got a 3-way battle for what is essentially the 2nd spot. So Glover's still trying to find a way around Felix Negwer, who's gotten the second place gift from Vile Himalayan, but he's got a beer full of Mercedes as he heads through the tunnel. The two Team Mercedes cars.
Jorge Carrera's pitted from P6 and down to 9th. So did he get damage? He was up there with David. And
so now the battle for the podium is on. I would have to imagine Korea had some sort of misfortune, but the good news is he's still in the race.
Yeah. Look how close Technique is to being. Oh,
is that a team strategy move?
I think that is a. Yeah, I think that was a bit of team orders there. Bran, it's James, and Bran's just lost out turn 1. Now Technique's all over the German of Felix, and Technique's on much fresher 4 wet tyres.
Oh, to the inside!
Going for it.
Oh, that was very close. I wasn't sure if that was going to work or not. 5 laps remaining.
Jack Cleo with pretty much a 20-second lead. And it doesn't matter about penalties now. Jack Cleo's won this, unless he wins it, which he has done before.
Looks like Negwer lost that position to Vile Himalayan. It looks like he's about to lose another position to Brandon Glover. So those two are going to continue to fight for that 3rd spot. But Himalayan managed to get by. You know, and honestly, 3-second time penalty for Meagdom in Austin Sector 2. You know, what's interesting to me is that Vile's tires gave up around lap 31. Now, looking at the pit stops, I mean, you've got Hoyle and Negwer and Glover, who all are on 26 and 27 lap old tires. With 4 laps remaining, there is a possibility that those 3 drivers might fall under the same misfortune that Vile Himalayan did. They might run into tire issues as they go. What is going on here?
Technique, he did a Nico Rosberg in 2014. I think he just missed his braking point, and that's allowed Felix and Bratton to get past again.
So now they've swapped positions again. So Vile Himalayan falls back to the 4th spot.
I wonder if Bran will let Technique back past, because obviously a couple of laps ago Bran left his teammate past, but now he's fighting for P2.
I'm not sure Brandon Glover's aware of the point situation, because I know Vile is higher in the points than Brandon Glover is, and Glover might be under the assumption that the championship's not going to end today. I mean, if it ended the way it is right now, I mean, obviously Cameron brought it up earlier, the championship would be Jack's, and I don't think Brandon's aware of that fact. If he beats Felix, this is done. So I'm thinking he might think Vile Himalayan is still in the championship fight, and that's why he let him by.
Why have we got David in the party? Thank God he's left.
Right.
I was going to say something, that's what I was going to say.
So 36 of 39.
I was going to say, the only way Bran would know if Jack couldn't win the title, if he's in the party with like Sondre or Cameron or the rest of the drivers. And I do Cameron? No, I can't do that, Cameron, because I'm not the host of the party.
Oh, around goes the Renault of Meagdom, who was running 6th. I think he should easily retain that position. He's 18 seconds ahead of Alexander Bastos. He should be able to swing that back around and get it going again.
Let's see if Brandon... I don't think Brandon will let Tenik go this time. Looks like Tenik's a bit too far.
Caution in Sector 2. James Hallworth is done for the day.
Oh, wait, yep, Cameron, you're right. Okay.
And it looks like Glover... Vile is catching them again. I think it's interesting to see if Glover lets Vile Himalayan go by again.
I don't think he will. I think Van wants this podium.
If I was Brandon, I would hang on to it.
Yeah, it depends if Technique has penalties. And with this fighting for P2, Jack Hoyle has now got a 24-second lead. So, Jack's just doing his own thing, really.
I think he's also on the track all by himself. He doesn't have any lap traffic to contend with, it doesn't look like. I mean, he's running out front, nobody in front, nobody behind. He does pick up another 3-second time penalty. So, again, the time penalties may or may not be a factor.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% what the IRL record is for time penalties. I do vaguely remember somebody earlier this year had 21 seconds beginning of the season. In fact, it might have been Felix Negwer that had 21 seconds. He had one race, I think it was Mexico. He had a lot of time penalties. He finished third, and I think he dropped the 5th or 6th on the grid because of it, so...
Yeah. I think penalties will be interesting at the end of the race. Between, like, Felix, Brand, Technique. Lee Kelly's a bit too far behind for penalties.
And Cameron is telling us Jimmy McCardell in Season 4 in Canada holds the record.
seconds.
28 seconds worth of time penalties is the IRL record. And I'm interested to see 2 laps remaining if Felix, Jack, and Brandon, if they don't run into some tire issues. I mean, Vile pitted with 31 laps to go. He was right at the cusp of having a possible puncture and tire failure. And these guys are going to be right at that mark as well, coming down to the end of this race. Now, Jack Hoyle has started the last lap of this race. He's just left turn 1, heading up the hill. These guys are coming out of Rascasse, heading back out onto the short front stretch. And a 3-second time penalty for Jorge Correa, but that doesn't matter. Jorge can have as many time penalties as he wants at this point, as long as he finishes the race.
I believe Jorge said in the F1 chat this morning, he hasn't finished the race since January.
I believe it. Watching him in IRL and SRL, I mean, he's got a combined like 20 DNFs between the 2 leagues, unfortunately. Him and Louis Quinlan both have just struggled mightily this year. So it'll be good to just have him finish a race. I mean, even if he crashes now, he'll still get points, but it would be nice to see him actually cross the finish line.
To see the checkered flag for a change.
And Jack Hoyle into Rascasse one last time. So Jack Hoyle,
the new champion,
he is essentially going to celebrates hard coming across the line. So Jack Hoyle, as it stands for the time being, is going to be the Season 5 F1 2018 World Champion in IRL.
And Felix comes round Rascasse.
Felix is going to come across in second. Time penalties are still going to need to be assessed, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Second, third, and fourth. And Vile Himalayan is actually going to get the podium position away from his teammate Brandon Glover because of those time penalties. And Lee Kelly.
I think Felix is expecting the title to go today. So I think he'll be really happy with his P2.
And we pick up Lee Kelly, who is going to come across line. He's out on the intermediates, and he's going to come across line for a hard-fought A little bit of misfortune, though, a hard-fought 5th place. Dave Meagdom looks like he was 6th. But we'll get the official finishing order here in just 1 second. So here is your 3 winners. This is Jack Hoyle. And I got to tell you, what a place to win the championship is at the basically the pinnacle of F1 racing here in Monaco. So not just a win, but a championship win. Felix Negwer with a hard-fought 2nd place. Vs IRL into 3rd. And it is good to see Felix on the podium again as well. He hasn't been there for quite some time. Negwer, and there you go, Negwer and Hoyle, last year's champion and this year's champion. So here's the official finishing order. This is going to be Jack Hoyle, Felix Negwer, Vs IRL, Brandon Glover, Lee Kelly, Dave Meagdom is 6th, Alexander Bastos with another 7th place finish. Jorge Correa finally finishes a race in quite some time. Congratulations to him for coming home 8th. James Hallworth is 9th, Tyler Rhodes is 10th, Sondre Sorhaug 11th, Louis Quinlan 12th, Jay Fletcher 13th, Luke Smith 14th, Nexus Dynamic is 15th, Aaron Collingwood 16th, Jay Drawbridge is 17th, Lewis Marshall, who technically didn't race, he's been in the booth with me, rounds out essentially your 18 drivers today. Adrian Storm and Darren Sinclair, I don't know if they had internet issues, they were scheduled to start the race, but it didn't happen, so, very entertaining Monaco race, which is something we can't really say for real F1.
Yeah. It's the rain, just spiced up.
So, and yes, Cameron, Bastos 7th again. I think Alexander Bastos probably leads the league in 7th place finishes, so good for him. But big congratulations to Jack Hoyle, who really kind of came out of nowhere this year and really set the league on fire. And there was some talk about him leaving earlier in the year to go join another league, which he may still do. He might have a better opportunity to do that now because there's no sense in him continuing to race. Everybody else is mathematically out of contention. So really the battle is going to be for 2nd come the championship points. But big congratulations to Jack Hoyle for his win. A big congratulations to Felix Negwer finishing on the podium again. And a big congratulations to Jorge Correa for finishing a race. And even more importantly, finishing in the points. It's been a long time coming for him.
Yeah, I think Jorge just happy to finish a race. I can imagine he's just laughing right now, thinking his streak has ended.
Well, hopefully it'll be a turn of luck for him going forward through the rest of the year. It's really been tough for him, I know, in both leagues, the IRL and the SRL. And he's such a crowd pleaser. He's such a crowd favorite. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, what more can you say about
in this league as well?
What more can you say about Jack Hoyle? I mean, that's just complete domination that I don't think IRL's ever seen such domination, maybe with the exception of Matthew Alder last year. But Alder had joined mid-season, so and this is the first time, as Cameron said earlier, it's the first time in IRL history that a champion has been crowned before the last race of the season. So that kind of goes to show you how tight the racing has been throughout IRL history, but it also shows the dominance that Jack Hoyle has had this year.
I think next season, hopefully, will be interesting because I'm not sure if it's true, but apparently Matthew Alder is going to come back for next season. I'm not sure if that's true. So if Matthew does come back, then Jack's got a big challenge for next season to retain his championship.
Well, it looked like Jack might have had some. I mean, he's obviously had some competition this year from Jay Drawbridge, and that was his closest contender for a long time. Unfortunately, Drawbridge has just as many DNFs as he does podium finishes at this point. So Jay, I think if he could work on his craft, Jay's been a very fast driver, leads the league in pole positions. So he could definitely be a contender next year if he wants to come back.
Yeah.
And then obviously Aaron Collingwood, who's actually had a really decent season going, especially in the last 5 or 6 rounds, has really put a string of podium finishes together and put some points on the board. I mean, he's proven to be very fast in the past as well. So if Collingwood, I think Collingwood would have been more in contention if he'd have made every single race starting from the beginning of this year.
Yeah. Just don't forget Felix as well. Always quick and consistent. So
Well, I think that's
maybe,
Felix's biggest key. Felix, I like to compare to an Alan Prost type driver. He's not the fastest,
yeah,
but he always seems to manage to get points on the board, whether those points are from 4th or 10th or a win. You can't ever really count him out. And that was key last year to him winning the championship was obviously
yeah,
Alder was very quick, and Felix did kind of luck out with Alder joining mid-season, but from the time Alder came into the league, Felix, I don't think, had a DNF. He always had a points-paying finish. So that was very key to him winning last year.
yeah.
So, unbelievable race today here in IRL. So, moving forward, next week we will have IRL F2 on Saturday and F1 on Sunday. And next week we are going to be at Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix.
Ooh.
3 rounds left in the season. We've got Hockenheim, Suzuka, and then we're going to finish out at Interlagos in a few weeks. German Grand Prix will be next week. Saturday for F2, Sunday for F1. And be sure to
Jimmy
like,
would be fun.
subscribe, and comment to the IRL YouTube page. Be sure to check us out online, www.internationalracingleague-irl.com. And like, subscribe, and comment to my YouTube page if you want. Lewis, what else can you say about today's race?
It's just been a great Monaco race. There's just battles start to finish. Like, obviously, we had the battle between Technique and Jack all race. We had Lee Kelly, Brandon, and Felix. Then we had David, James, and Jorge fighting the all race. So it's been a great race, in my opinion.
We'll see if the momentum continues. Next week should be interesting. I know that we just crowned a new champion. I think it'll be interesting to see if Jack Hoyle continues to finish the season out, if he moves along to different things, and then obviously if he returns next year. I've
Yeah, I hope
noticed
he
it seems
does.
like in IRL and SRL there seems to be a handful of drivers that always come back, but there also seems to be more drivers that leave than return, and I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if that's just a part of league racing in general when it
Yeah,
comes to online play. Um, but I mean, there's only a handful of guys that seem to be there every year. I mean, like you said, Jorge Correa's been here for a long time. Felix Negwer's done it for a few years now. Sondre's always been a part of IRL, it seems like, and obviously Cameron. I mean, league owner. I mean, he didn't really participate much this year, but he's always been a part of it as well. So
yeah,
be
he's
interesting to see if the
Cameron's
champion
always there
returns.
with us. Yeah, I think I think most people just leave, then just join back just because it's just the heat of the moment after a race. So they'll be mad, then leave, then just calm down, then join back. It I've seen it a few times in league racing before.
And as you said, we may have the return next year of Matthew Alder. And I mean, honestly, if Alder and Hoyle, along with Collingwood and Drawbridge, if all 4 of those drivers were in F1 next year for IRL, that would make for some really exceptional racing, and I think a really hard-fought championship. And then
Yeah,
obviously you would have Felix Negwer, kind of in that
Aaron will be back.
background. Um, so,
Aaron Collingwood will be back as well. And we
so
could still get new, faster drivers for
you
next
know,
season.
as I say in racing, I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are, how fast you are. There always seems to be somebody faster. So you never know.
Yeah. Apart from if your name's Matthew Alder.
So this has been round 18 IRL F1 2018 on the PS4 platform. This has been the Monaco Night Race Grand Prix. Jack Hoyle, your winner of the race. Jack Hoyle, your world champion for IRL for 2018. So I'm KAMIKAZE-FOX. This has been Lewis Marshall. Be sure to check us out at the next round next week at Hockenheim. We're out.